find this so fascinating. Of all the content that I do, I probably enjoy this content the most. I do, because it is the epiphany of women discovering they had it all. They were masters of their universe. They had the adoration and attention and love of everybody, and they just kept throwing it away until it was too late. And now another feminist is crying about it because she's hit the wall and the men have evaporated. From the New York Times, men, where have you gone? Please come back. I'm 53 years old and you're not paying attention to me anymore. But I also noticed there aren't any men anywhere else either. What is going on? And this is why the patriarchy always wins. Now, what do I mean by the patriarchy always wins? Is that for hundreds, thousands of years, men have kind of ruled society, and society worked out wonderful. Now the women will say, or the feminists rather will say, it didn't work out so well for us. You held us down. Did we though? Did we though? Because I'm gonna talk about in the second part of this video, the Amish. Because the Amish, do they have it right? I'm going to present it as a question. I'll let you answer it because we see a lot of the positives. But I think after you hear how the Amish live and versus how we live today, I think you'll say, you know what, somewhere right in the middle around the 1940s and 50s was perfect. I think you'll agree with me on that one. But we'll talk about this secondary. So before we get started, today's sponsor is me. Don't forget tonight, Saturday night at the movies, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Daylight Standard, whatever we're in, I forget, 8 o'clock Eastern over on betterbachelor.locals.com. You can become a supporter. It's basically a couple bucks a month, and you get a discount if you sign up for the full year. And we do events like this where we all hang out. We have some drinks. We shoot the chat. I almost said shoot the shit, but you can't say that anymore on YouTube. and you'll see a page like this. Again, links are down below as always. Go support my work. I'd appreciate it very much. Okay, from the New York Times. And I stole this from Web Archive, because screw the New York Times and their $1 or $2 a month. Your writing's not even good enough to get that from me. Men, where have you gone? Oh, please come back after we chased you out of society and dating and marriage and child rearing and all the things. Please, please, where are you? Now, like all women, she writes this very flowery, like she's a wannabe Harlequin romance novel writer, but she sucks. So she can't write books, so she writes for the New York Times instead. So this is very flowery and written very story-esque. I'll try to thin it out a little bit for us so we don't all die of diabetes halfway through this. So many men have retreated from intimacy, hiding behind firewalls, filters, curated personas, dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. Okay, you didn't want us for intimacy anymore. You want us for either A, being a provider, or B, being Chad Thunderstroke that you can sleep with. That's it. It's you guys that broke down all that. And why are we hiding and creating personas? Because you don't want us to be our authentic selves. If we are, you call us toxic, you toxic masculinity, you're too aggressive, you're all the things. So now we just don't bother with you anymore. That night marked something, not a heartbreak, but an unveiling. A sense of what I might have been experiencing wasn't just personal misalignment, it was something broader, cultural, a slow vanishing of presence. So now this is not a picture of her. I was like, is this the Asian-looking dude here? Is this the writer? But it's not. But this is what most feminists look like. So I could see why you might be confused. So she says, well, it's not just me. I'm going to restaurants with friends. I'm going out with women. And we're going to these nice restaurants, places you might see dates where it's kind of romantic. And it's just a bunch of women hanging out, having drinks. Maybe a couple of gay dudes. She gets into that later. The whole point is the guys aren't showing up. The guys that, and I talk about this a billion times, so I'm just going to make a statement and move on. We're not going to go deep into this. The guys that could get the women, they're now smashing without the dates. The guys that have struggled to get the women, they're not going on dates anymore because the women they want are smashing the other guys. It's online dating and all that crap. What I came to understand in exact terms, what cues to tempt the average 18 to 36-year-old man, what drew him in, what kept him coming back, it wasn't intimacy. It was access to stimulation, clean, fast, frictionless. not frictionless. You need a little bit of friction to get to the happy place. I'm just saying, you do need a little bit of friction. Why do men do candlelight dinners and playing romantic guitar and wooing women and reading poetry to them? Okay, we're going back to like the 1800s now. Why did guys do, or even early 1900s, why did guys do that? Because they wanted to get in the panties. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to sleep with women. And when women said, no, you must take me out and give me flowers and sweet talk me and put a ring on my finger, and maybe then before marriage, but at one point in time, marriage, then you can get in the no-no square. You know what I'm saying? So guys said, okay, well, if that's the deal, and that's really what I want, I will do this. Men don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that. You can swipe, you can go on certain websites and just rent a woman for $300 to $500 an hour or an evening or whatever. And who made those rules? You made those rules. You did, ladies. You changed the rules. We're playing by your rules. She said there was emotional vacancy behind it. Correct. That's how men are. Men are not traditionally romantic. We pretend to be overly romantic so we can get in the fun place. If a man is overly romantic, he's probably gay. She says, I'm 54 years old. I've been dating since the mid-'80s. I've been married. I've been a mother. I gotten divorced. I've had many relationships, long and short. I remember when part of the male culture involved showing up with a woman or up with a woman to signal something. Status, success, desirability. Women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. It wasn't always healthy, says the feminist, but it meant that men had to show up and put in some effort. So she says, women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. Right, because at one point in time, you had value to men. Whether it was for your looks, for your desire to sleep with a man. I mean, I'm pretty sure that all Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriends are not, cooking him dinners and being a maid around the house. They're probably enjoying his yachts, and he's probably enjoying, little one-on-one time, playing hide the snake. And so they each have value. But when women complain about, men just want us to sleep with them. I don't want to do that. Men just want us for our bodies. Men don't appreciate us for this. Men don't like it. Well, you don't have any value anymore. Now you've just become a liability. Now you just have become an anchor around a man's neck because he's trying to sail his ship and you're just dragging us down. The dynamic has quietly collapsed. We've moved into an era where many men no longer seek women to impress other men. Well, we don't need to, or to connect across a difference. No, there's no connecting with you anymore. They perform elsewhere, alone. They've filtered us out.
Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for her, Johnny?
We don't need you anymore. Women keep thinking men want what women want. Women want strong, successful, powerful, tall, masculine, lots of money, intelligent, leader of men. Men do not want any of that from a woman. We want quiet, demure, soft, sweet, shy, and a demon in the bedroom. Princess in the streets, hellcat in the sheets, right? But women will not listen to us when we say that. And so now when we've just filtered them out, we're not, okay, no, thank you. I recently experienced a flicker of possibility with James. We met on Raya, the dating app. Tension and blah, blah, blah. And she said, I finally named what I wanted. I texted him with clear, simple, I want attraction. I want an invitation to explore what's possible. I invited, leaving the door open, and he never replied. He never replied. He follows my Instagram stories. He still, follows what I write, but he never replied. And there's thousands of Jameses, and I've known dozens. Why would James need to step through the door to your inner heart when he can open the front door, shag you in the lobby, and then leave? That's really what she's talking about. She goes out with these men. She's taken by them. She sleeps with them, goes on a date, sleeps with him, and then the guy's like, I'm done. She's like, come into my inner sanctimony. And he's like, no, I wiped my pecker off on your sanctimony on the way out the door after shagging you. Have a nice day. Oh, my sanctimonies. I mean, what do these women think? They do not understand men whatsoever, especially not masculine men. And she says she's known dozens over the years of men like this. And she says, I've been in long and in short relationships. Yes, but when a man can get what he wants in a short relationship, why would he stick around? If a man falls in love with a woman, if a man dates a woman and he gets to know the woman and he likes her and he finds her interesting and she's funny and she's sincere and she's genuine and she treats him well and she cares for him by maybe cooking or whatever, that man will fall in love with that woman and say, I want to guard this woman. I want to own this woman. I want to protect this woman. I want this woman to be a part of my life. When a guy just meets a woman, does she think the bedroom is that good that a guy's like, wow? Actually, it is true that if a guy finds a woman that's really good in the bedroom, even if she's incredibly annoying and drives him crazy, he will date her for a few months until even then that man says, man, she's awesome in the bedroom, but I can't put up with this anymore. I got to go. Right? So even the crazy ones, if the magic schoolhouse is fun to play in, they'll hang around for a little while. But there's a lot of guys that won't. But when it's just a one night thing or whatever, why would the guy got what he wanted? And the women think, well, this is what I want. I just want hookup culture. Okay, but when you're done with hookup culture, when you're tired of it and you want to find that man, he's still participating in hookup culture. He will never probably leave that hookup culture because he's a winner. So while you're enjoying that market and you've created that market, you ruin it for all other women, including yourself one day, ironically. She says it's not about blaming men. Holy crap, did a feminist just say it's not about blaming men? There must be something in here. So here's what I'll say. You are missed, not just by me, but by the world you once helped shape. Holy frittatas. Men are missed, not by you, but by society and by the world. What is happening right now? She says, we remember you, the version of you that lingered at the table, that laughed from the chest, that asked questions and waited for the answers, that touched without taking, that listened, that really listened when a woman spoke. Oh, you want a blue-pilled simp is what you're saying. When she says, I miss the men that were romantic, the men that touched or caressed without taking, the man that really listened to us when a woman spoke, when she says that specifically, she's talking about the blue pills now. She's talking about the feminist aligned men. She's talking about them. She's talking about the blue-pilled simps. She's talking about the guys that were willing to jump through the hoops and be romantic and take her even though she has a high body count and date her even though she's divorced with kids and date her even though she's 54. She's talking about the blue pillars. Now she's talking about the weak men. The wimpy men are now walking away. That's incredible. When the men that once would have jumped through hoops and danced around the feminist fire, saying all praise the holy women, when those guys are thinning out and going away, yeah, you women do have a problem. Now men don't have a problem because either those blue-pilled simps are saying, you know what, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, or I've jumped through the hoops for years. I still end up getting divorced. I still end up losing child custody. You still end up calling me toxic, whatever else. Nothing will please you. I'm out. Now, it may not mean that he's, a red pill conservative now. Maybe he still goes to protests against Tesla and, would have voted twice for Kamala Harris if he could have. But even he's saying, the market's just broken, dude. And it's not working for me anymore. I played the game and the game's not working. Anyway, she says you're not gone, but your presence is thinning in restaurants, in friendships, in the slow rituals of romantic emergence. Even the blue pillars aren't trying to date anymore. You've retreated, not into malice, but in something softer and harder all at once. Avoidance, exhaustion, and disrepair. I actually think she's accurate on that. Now even blue pill simps are avoiding women. We've recently had the trend going around on Twitter or X and other places where they call it black fatigue, right? It's the spurging out of people in society and doing crimes or just acting a fool, and they call it black exhaustion or black fatigue. And there is an exhaustion for this in dating too. It's all of this is so tiring. All of this is so annoying. I don't want it anymore. Better to have a peaceful home than be under the roof with a quarrelsome woman. And yes, men are in disrepair. And every time we try to do something that repairs ourselves, like having a men's space, having men's sanctuary, feminists and the equality women come in and try to destroy it. She says, maybe no one taught you how to stay. Why would we stay? It's not worth it. Maybe you tried once and it hurt. Yes. Maybe the world told you your role was to provide, to perform, and to protect, and never to feel. That's where you got it wrong. Again, she doesn't understand men. We were told to provide, to perform, and to protect. And she says, and maybe you were told to never feel. No, it's the opposite. In many cases, men feel deeper and stronger than women do. There are sources on this. There are studies on this. Men are usually more distraught and take longer to heal up than after a breakup, after getting cheated on, after getting divorced. Men are slower to love, and men are certainly slower to change their love to a new direction. Women can do it very quickly, and in many cases, much easier than men. It's men that actually feel more, and I've done videos on this. Men feel more. So we did try it once, and it hurt. And we tried to protect and perform and to serve and to provide and be good men. And then we got hurt. And it's not that we weren't taught to never feel. It's that we felt so deeply. I remember after my first real relationship that went south. And it probably the first person I really, truly loved. And that was my first wife. Now, my mistake, my love was misguided. It was a mistake, but the love was genuine. What I wanted from the relationship was genuine, even if it was for completely the wrong person. And I own that. That's on me. I gave myself to somebody that was undeserving, and I think a lot of men accidentally do that. So that's on me. It wasn't her fault. She didn't really change. She was always the awful person she was in the beginning. It's just I didn't see it because she was very beautiful, and the other things you like when you're a 21-year-old man. But after that, I remember saying to myself, and I remember it clear as day, I said, I would rather be alone the rest of my life to feel this pain again. I remember how bad, when you really love somebody and they really hurt you, there is a point in time where you say, I'd rather be alone than to ever feel like this again. Now, over time, that pain does fade. And over time, you can even laugh about it because you say, oh boy, I was just a youthful person and I really was into it. Until you feel that pain again for a second time. And then you say, oh my gosh, it wasn't just youthful exuberance. It wasn't me just picking a wrong woman. Sometimes they just walk away. Sometimes they have different plans than you have. And when you were all in and they ended up going all out, and then you feel that pain for a second time. And some people may learn on their first time. I don't think many people do because they say, it's just that one person. And then the second time happens. And then you start guarding yourself a little bit. Then you start putting those walls up around the heart. Then you start saying, okay, I got to be careful. I can't do this again. And so you love a little bit less. You love a little deeper. You make the person that you are in a relationship with jump through a few more hoops. Then if it happens to you after that, that's when you're like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm done with this. And I don't know if many of you guys out there can say it was 2, it was 3, it was 1, how many it was. Some of you guys I know are on like 9. It's just, no, I haven't found my right one yet, but I'm going for it. For me, I think it was about 3 in total across the span of my life. 2 I married and divorced, and then the one after that, that was my never again. So never again. And I say this because I know a lot of men out there that will date still. I'm one of them. Like, I have no problems dating. I'd have no problems getting a girlfriend. I have no problems with interacting with women. I have none of that. But you never get me the same way that I gave myself earlier. It's a different type of love. I think when you're young, it's it's kind of a needy love. It's I want to love her so much, so she loves me so much. And it's equal deep love. And then as you get older, you realize as a man, it's not how any of this works. You know, the game doesn't work that way. That really you need to love differently as a man, and less, quite frankly. You need love much, much less and in a much different way as a man. And only when you love like that can a woman still have desire for you, because she knows if she fucks up, you're out. A blink of an eye. Okay? And then when a woman realizes that, then if she acts the fool, you walk away with no heartbreak. You're like, well, she's like the rest of them. Off I go into the sunset. I'll be fine. And if she doesn't mess up, she realizes, well, she's probably with somebody that's dating down to be with her. And yes, all men have to date down. It's just the way of the world. And maybe she's up in looks, but you're up in money or power or success or something. There's always got to be a balance, and always has to be the men is better. And you know who says this, of course, is the women. The women are the ones that admit this the most, because they won't date down. They admit they won't date down. So even the women agree with me. So stuff it, feminists. She says, anyway, I stopped moving my mouse so it shut off. You know, this is why I don't get battery-powered mice. I got to go back to a wired one. There we go. She said, but here's what's real. We never needed you to be perfect. That's a lie. That's not what you say. You need us to be perfect. I just did a video on this where women are the dating trend now, where women are saying, well, he forgot to bring me one of his grandma's cookies he told me about. He forgot to wish me luck on the first day of work. He forgot to mention my birthday that was 5 days ago, even though we've only been on 2 dates. I preemptively broke up with him. That was a New York Post article I just did last week. Yes, you do expect perfection. Oh, I was born this way. I was born and I only grew to the tender height of 5'6". There's nothing I can do about it. But I'm a sweet guy, and I work real hard, and I'll treat you well. And no, he needs to be 6 foot tall. Okay, you're needing a guy to be perfect. We just needed you to be with us, not above, not muted, not masked, just with. No. Because you're divorced. You've admitted to dating dozens of men, some short, some long-term relationship. Why didn't you keep any of them around? You know, you had a choice. I'm sure you had a choice. I'm sure these dozens of men that went out with you, many of them probably would have liked to be with you. You didn't want a man to be with you because you're 54 and you're single. They never come to this epiphany until dating gets hard. That's why, you know, my favorite, Yana Hawking over at, I don't, who does she write for right now? New York Post, EU.UK, Aussie, some Aussie site, whatever. She's the next one. She's going to be writing these stories. I give it 5 or 10 years as things sag off and the wrinkles show up. And then I'll be here at the tender age of 60 or 65, laughing my ass off at Yana, because now she'll be 54 and no one wants her. And she'll say, where have all the good men gone? It happens every time, but only when it's too late. She says you can still come back, not by becoming someone else, by remembering what connection feels like when it's honest and slow, when it's earned and messy and sacred. You want a boyfriend, lady. You want a man. You want a provider. And he's gone. They're gone. It's too late. I'm just reading all this because it's funny how women, basically she's writing, dear God, I'm desperate. And all the men are gone. Where have all the good men gone? That's what she's writing. But she's doing it in a Harlequin romance novel way. We're asking for presence, for courage, for breath and eye contact, and the ability to say, I'm here. I don't know how to do this perfectly, but I want to try. We don't want to try. We don't care. You're 54. You're divorced. High body count, children. Where were you at 24 looking for the romantic man that would love you and protect you and provide for you? You didn't care then. You were 24. Lots of people wanted to bang you then. Lots of people wanted to take you out to dinner. It was the high life. It's gone now. Tough shit. Come back. Oh, please come back. Not with flowers or fireworks, but with willingness, with your whole beautiful, imperfect heart. We're still here and we haven't stopped hoping. Too little, too late, lady. I find this so fascinating. Of all the content that I do, I probably enjoy this content the most. I do, because it is the epiphany of women discovering they had it all. They were masters of their universe. They had the adoration and attention and love of everybody, and they just kept throwing it away until it was too late. And now another feminist is crying about it because she's hit the wall and the men have evaporated. I love these. I just love these. Because now we are the men that are called misogynistic. We're the men called toxic. We're the men being called the awful people, as we scream at the 20-year-old women, the young 30-year-old women, please stop. Be reasonable. There are great men out here that will love you. Please stop chasing the chads. Please stop sleeping around. Please stop becoming fat or feminist or all the other things men hate. Please fix yourselves now. 20s, no. 30s, no. You're patriarchy, toxic. 40s, I'll get a blue-pilled feminist man. My standards have risen. I have high standards now. 50s. Where are all the good men? And we're the ones telling them. We're the only ones being honest with them. They won't do it. They won't do it.